Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Josh and this is not my beautiful 79 Corvette. I unfortunately had to make some serious decisions about my Corvette and had to sell the car because it was giving me way too many issues. I'm kidding. Car's right behind you guys. There's nothing wrong with it. I actually drove it earlier today. Had a blast with it. But I did manage to get myself into a bit of a crazy one. I bought myself a Tesla. This is the Tesla Model Y Performance. This is a 2022 model with the Uber turbine wheels, which are 21-inch wheels. This is the performance package, which means it does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. And yes, I've tested it out and the thing is ridiculous. But yeah, this is it. I got myself into one and I want to talk about it. I'm gonna give you guys a couple of initial views on the car, some of the things that I find interesting about the car, and I do hope to make another video about some of the things that I love about it and I hate about the car. So you guys will see almost like a saga of videos of this car. We also, my wife and I, managed to get ourselves into a Porsche Macan that is a 2021. I wanted to do almost like a side-by-side comparison as well. So you will see a shift in my videos from the Corvette to the Tesla and the Porsche, obviously keeping up with the Corvette as well. But I wanted to just showcase our new toys because we are very excited and we think that these are very hot cars in the market. One, because the Teslas are very low on cost right now and they're electric and they're Teslas. And also the Porsche, because it is a Porsche. It's the Macan is the most trendy SUV right now. And so we figure, you know what, we'll do a side-by-side comparison in the future and see what we like, what we don't like about these two cars. And obviously we gotta keep them for a long time. So we wanna make sure that these two cars are also part of the family with the Corvette. With that being said, guys, if you guys are interested in watching this video, feel free to stay tuned. If not, feel free to watch my other videos and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. So to start off with this car, I want to talk about the looks, and I personally have to say that over the past couple of weeks that I've had the car, it's definitely grown on me. It's not the most beautiful car that I think I see in the road, but it is definitely grown on me. I think particularly because I came from a very small car, which was the Mercedes-Benz E350. That was a 2015 model. And although it's a larger sedan, it's still very much on the smaller side, especially on the back seats, where if we had more than 3 people, it would be almost impossible to fit in. While this one definitely gives me more of an SUV type of feel to it. I want to say maybe a mid-size SUV, even a little bit smaller than that. And also being a 4,000-pound SUV, it's just incredible to kind of feel how fast these cars are and how little effort it seems like they require to go to this particular speed. Aside from that, I think the looks, like I said, have grown on me. I think the front could use some definite work. It just looks very bubbly shaping, and the tail, the trunk of it, has a lot more of a sharper kind of look to it, which is kind of an odd mixture. And I have read that the looks are a bit mixed just simply because of how it looks on the front and on the side and then on the back. So there's definitely something to it. So the first thing that I want to talk about with you guys is first impressions. This is a very simple car, very different and interesting car. There's not a lot to it, but at the same time, there's a ton of things to it, right? For once, the looks, I debated back and forth with different SUVs and different vehicles because I obviously wanted something bigger and I wanted something that was a little bit higher off the ground. And so for those reasons, I decided, you know what, let me just test out something different, something electric. I think it'll be fun and quirky for a video. But yeah, the looks, there's a lot of portions to it. The front looks like a whale, and then the back has very sharp edges. The sides look almost like a minivan, but not really. So it's very hard to tell what they were trying to do with this car, other than it was a Tesla Model 3 that needed to be a little bit higher than a Tesla Model 3. So the Tesla Model Y was born. That's the way I see it. I am happy with the looks. I'm not thoroughly in love with the looks, but I generally like the way the car looks. I think the rear end of it is a lot nicer than the front. I think the front looks almost like a dolphin or an orca or a whale. It's very very bubbly looking, but the back has very sharp edges, very nice crisp lines. I thoroughly enjoy that. The interior, however, I love it. I have grown very fond of it. I think it's a very straightforward interior. I think it's very simple to use. There's just not a lot to it. So if you're thinking about ways of customizing this car, unfortunately, there's just not a lot. It actually reminds me a lot of the way the Corvette is, because there's just not a lot to it. It's a very straightforward car. I think the way I see it is this car is meant to take you from point A to B on the fastest way possible and the most efficient way possible. It's not meant to give you a whole bunch of little accessories and quirks and little luxury things to it. No, it's just meant to, it's almost like a vessel to take you from point A to point B. That's the way I see it. Now, there is a lot of luxury here, although it's hard to see it, but you get a lot of Alcantara. You get Alcantara on the door panels as well. I think the seats are very comfortable. They're not heavily bolstered, and for a car that could go this fast, I would definitely like more bolstering on the side, so that way it can hold me a little bit better around the corners, especially because this car on the corners is not the greatest. I think it's very boaty and it could be a little bit better. I remember the Mercedes having very bolstered seats, they really hold you in place. You also have a learning curve, which is the intricate systems in which the car behaves. They really created a full dichotomy between the software and the hardware, which means that you pretty much have to use this one for every single thing on the car, including changing the mirror, adjusting the mirrors, adjusting the wheel, the steering wheel, adjusting pretty much everything, adjusting the AC. You have a sub menu for the AC as well, which is incredibly weird. Not bad, but I definitely would like physical buttons, just like a lot of videos will tell you. The lack of physical buttons does make it a difficult transition for someone that's my age or older. You also don't have a handle for your glove compartment. You need to do it directly from here, which means the glove compartment has a motor. What happens if that motor fails? So there's a lot of things and compromises that you have to take, kind of immerse yourself in this vehicle. You have to come with almost like an open-minded feeling to enjoy this car. Otherwise, you're just gonna be complaining about the stuff that the car could have but it doesn't have. But aside from that, the interior seems fine. It's got plenty of space. You've got a full moon roof, which is really cool. It's very dark, so it's not very useful, especially for me, because I usually wear a hat and so I don't get to see it as much. I have noticed that it gets really warm, and that kind of scares me because it gets really hot in Houston, and it gets really hot inside the cabin. Now the car has a protocol where it cools off once it reaches a certain temperature, I guess, to maintain the systems, the computers and all that stuff running. But yeah, it gets warm and you can also feel it. So if I'm not wearing a hat, you can kind of feel the heat coming down on you, which is not great. But I don't mind it. I think the back passengers, they seem to love it. And that's as far as that gets. Aside from that, glove compartments, there's plenty of space. I actually bought the cubbies because Tesla does not offer cubbies anymore. You have to buy them separately, which is one thing that I notice a lot on Tesla. It's almost like a theme where if it's not used, then it's not needed. So yeah, so that's one. So there's cubbies here, there's space on there. You also get a lot of space over here, which is really cool. I have it full of crap already, but yeah. And then aside from that, lots of plastics, lots of fake leather, and I think the only part that's actual real material is probably the wood trim. Aside from that, it's all just Ambitex or whatever that's called. Just a regular, very minimalistic interior with not a lot to look at other than I guess the street, which is, I guess if you think about it, the main thing that you need to be looking at. Now, moving into the back, let me just hop in. Oh, there's a little hat over here. So the back is very comfortable. I am 5'10", 5'9", 5'10", so pretty much average height, and I feel comfortable in here. This is how I normally will sit down, which is a little bit further back from a regular person. I think it's because I have very long legs. And this is my wife's normal sitting position. You do have AC with two USB-Cs as well, which is fairly common nowadays. You also have a cup holder, and as I mentioned, the chairs are not extremely comfortable, but they're also not bad for a short commute. As far as the interior goes, the doors are sitting pretty high up above you. The windows, they're not open. They don't open all the way, so kind of hard to put your hand out there. It's kind of an uncomfortable position, but it feels very private here, which I thoroughly enjoy. You also have the moonroof here, which you can take full scope of, and looks really cool. And I think this part of the car is probably your best view of the full car, because it definitely gives you an idea of what a Tesla looks like, or what an EV standard should be like, I think. Yes. So with that being said, very comfortable. You also have room for a third person here. This one just sits a little bit more straight. It's almost like more of a 90-degree angle, but you also get enough movement over here. You don't have a column here or a transmission column here to have your legs over here like this. So that it's very comfortable for me. You also have lights over here, so you can turn them off and turn them on. You also have coat hangers, which is really cool. And that's it. Like I said, there's just not a lot. One thing that I do hate about this car, and I'll put it on a separate list in the future, is the lack of access to your AC controls and your heat warmers, because this car does come equipped with seat warmers on all 3 seats, which is very odd. And also you can control your AC independently from your front passengers, but you don't have a way to do it, so the front passenger has to do that for you, which is very odd, but I'll keep that for a separate video. Let's look at the trunk. So just a couple of things here to note. One, I went ahead and added this because the car did not come with this. The carpets came with the car even though it was used, which is really cool. And then you do have storage here, which is very nice. I mean, it's a very deep storage here, which I've already filled with stuff. You also have storages on the sides, which is really cool. I've also filled those out with stuff. I bought the plastic cubbies, I guess, with the tops, simply because I like the clean look of it. I didn't want too many holes in there. And you also have another storage here. This is more of a hidden storage here, and I actually added this little thing because Tesla didn't deem that necessary to lift it up, so they didn't do it, so I did it. And I think this is for the third row as well. There's a Tesla Model Y that comes with a third row seating, which I guess it's for someone that has no legs or very little kids. But that's the trunk. Now here's the front in all its glory. One thing to point out is that you cannot open this from the outside. You can only open it from your phone or from the giant Tesla screen that's on the inside. You cannot open it from the outside, which is a little bit inconvenient, but here it is in all its glory. I do have 2 bags. I think it comes with 1 bag, but this is where I keep the charger just in case I go somewhere. So I think I was lucky enough to get 2 bags, but that's it. That's the front. I do find it useful actually, because I do find myself throwing bags in here a lot faster than I would on the back seat or even the trunk, which is a bit of an odd thing, but it seems to just be faster. I do wish that this trunk, or this front, I'm sorry, would open automatically, kind of like the Cybertruck does or the F-150 Lightning does, which you press a button and it automatically opens for you. By the time you get to the car with your bags, you can just load them in. So that's one. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward front. Now, on the topic of practicality versus luxury, right? I find this car to be in a very odd position because I had a Mercedes E350, my wife had a Lexus, and she currently has a Porsche Macan. So they're very high-end cars. And how do they stack up against something like this? Well, I'm here to tell you the honest truth. It really doesn't. I mean, it really doesn't stack up. We're talking about 2 different markets, 2 different types of cars, 2 different views of what a car is. Now, on the topic of luxury, this car has everything that a Mercedes would have, or a Lexus would have, or a Porsche would have, as far as electronics, sound system, software implementation, built to it, all that stuff, right? This car has that, right? You almost get more because everything is handled by the computer, so you can actually expect newer things on an update, right? So if you decide, hey, I want to see the cameras on my computer when I'm turning, Tesla can actually do that, which they did, right? So you do get all that stuff. You get lane assist, autopilot, car warning, all that stuff, right? So you get all those safety things. You get a lot of the luxuries that other cars have. But I think it boils down to what are the luxuries that you guys are looking at, right? Are you guys looking for a panoramic sunroof that opens? Well, this one has one, but it doesn't open, right? Are you guys looking for Alcantara versus full trim leather? This one has Alcantara, but it doesn't have a full trim leather. So a lot of those things gotta be taken in accountability. As far as cost of ownership and stuff, I'm too new to find out, and I'm too new to know, but I promise I will keep you guys posted on what goes wrong, what doesn't go wrong, what worked, what doesn't work, and then I guess we'll just have to take it from there. But that's one thing to understand, whether you want something that's premium luxe versus something that's more on the practical side, which is what this car kind of aims to. Another interesting point that I wanted to kind of talk about is, would I consider this car to be the main car if I didn't have any other cars, or is this mostly an addition to a combustion car or a complement to a internal combustion car? And it is definitely a weird kind of a thought, right? Because I've owned this car for about a month now, and I went from the Woodlands, if you guys are familiar with Houston, to all the way to where my mom lives, which is near Lake City. And then from there, we took a trip to Galveston and then back. And I found myself having range anxiety, which meant that I could see my car draining battery by the time I was arriving to Galveston. So by the time we got to Galveston, I was already thinking, where am I gonna fill this thing up? And I've had the car for, I wanna say maybe a week and a half. And I was definitely freaking out because, I mean, what happens if you don't have a charging station nearby? It almost pre-tells you whether you're gonna make it or not, which is very weird to think about. So you do get that range anxiety. And with a car, even with the Corvette, I could take it to Galveston back and forth, just pump at a gas station, and then we're done. It's a 5-minute, no thought behind it. With this one, you almost have to plan every trip before you leave the house, especially here in Houston, which is so big and so many streets and traffic, and one trip that could take you an hour ends up taking you 2 hours because of an accident. So it is a very interesting situation. So would I have this car as my main car without any other type of mobility? No, I wouldn't. This is a complement. I plan on driving this car. We plan on driving this car more on the inner city because we find that it comes out a lot cheaper than driving the Corvette or the Porsche. I include the Corvette because I do drive the crap out of it sometimes. But we find this one to be a lot cheaper, a lot more cost effective, and it is a very comfortable ride. I think a lot of people complain about the drive-in situation, the fact that you can feel every single bump, the fact that you can feel everything, road noise and all stuff. I'm here to tell you, yes and no. But it is a very comfortable ride. Like I said, the sound system is incredible, and I don't hear people talking about this quite as much as they should, because the system is by far the best audio system that I've heard in any car that I've owned. But I do feel like the Porsche would be the one to be taken to Austin or Dallas or San Antonio, just because I mentally would feel more comfortable. I wouldn't have any range anxiety, and I kind of know my way around a gas car a lot more than I know my way around a EV or an electrical vehicle. So with that being said, I consider Teslas or any other EV right now as it stands to be a complement to your current garage. Now, hopefully this will change as I drive the car more and I get more comfortable with it. But I've owned it for a month right now, and I still feel more comfortable driving to Galveston on the Porsche than this one. So that kind of gives you an idea where I'm standing at as far as owning this car as my principal car or as a secondary method of commute. With you guys on my final thoughts, I want to be very thorough on this car, and I want to start by saying that I personally love the purchase that I made. I'm not just trying to make myself think that I love it because I made the purchase already and I made a huge mistake. No, I thoroughly enjoy the car. My brother and I are huge car fanatics, and he was thoroughly impressed by the car. He thought that the driving dynamics and the car itself was a very well built car. Oh, which leads me to a point that I forgot about: quality. Quality of this car. It's not that bad actually. I read a lot of forums and a lot of videos that said that the quality on this car was abysmal and that it was really bad. Panel gaps, wind noise, interior cabin noise, just crap all over the place. And I must say that I haven't had a single issue now. I don't know if because this is a 2022 model and they've managed to create a few different things with it, or they managed to kind of redo a couple of their things. But it feels very solid. If you get on one, there's just not a lot of creaks. If you guys ever own a Mercedes or BMW, you know that all of these creaks, everything on those cars creaks, and when you're driving, it's like a rattle can. I had that on my car for 5 years, and I could never figure out each particular noise. I'm happy to tell you guys that this one doesn't have any of those noises. Now, I will say that this is a fairly new car, and I'm happy to tell you that even with the stereo sounding blasting, you know, there's no creaks to it, which is impressive. As far as cabin noise, there is a little bit of cabin noise, and I think it has to do with the panoramic sunroof. Reason behind it is because when you have a regular car with just a smaller panoramic sunroof or not, you get a lot more sound dampening on those dampening. I'm sorry. But this one, because it's just a straight piece, doesn't have all those it's not like as cover as maybe other cars. I also think Tesla is a young brand compared to other brands, and they still have a lot of work to do with their car qualities and quality control for their vehicles. But I overall think it's a great car. I think it's a very well made car. I think the software on this car is like 10 years ahead every other car. I think the way this car drives and functions makes you feel like you're 5 years ahead of everyone else, which is a really crazy thought. But with that being said, I am not too crazy about quality complaints because I honestly didn't find that many. Coming from a Mercedes, a Lexus, a Porsche, I have a lot of time to kind of test out and comprehend that a little bit more, where those car brands are at versus this one. And yes, in quality control, they're further ahead, but I think this one's catching up very quickly. And technology wise, this one's just miles ahead, and I think the other brands are playing catch up to this one. So that's my rant on quality. I think the panels are very well done. I think there's not a lot of gaps. Do I feel like the gaps could be a little bit thinner? Yes. But do I cry about it? No, not really. I feel like my Corvette has sleeker lines than this one, and has less panel gaps than this one. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. As far as anything else, you know, and obviously final thoughts is, you get a lot of car for what this is worth right now. I think this car is very well made. I think it's by far the best car Tesla has ever created, aside from the Cybertruck, which I absolutely adore. I'm kidding. I like it. I'm just not too crazy about it, but it is a cool truck for sure, or if you can call that a truck. But I think having the front, having a big trunk with more space than a regular SUV trunk, not having a transmission running through the middle of the car, not having a lot of buttons means a lot of less things to repair, and not having a lot of you know, not having an internal combustion engine just means a lot less work for you. As of right now, my only concern are the tires and putting water fluid for the windshield, because not even the brakes get used that much due to the fact that this car kind of stops by itself. Has a mode, and I will talk about it later on a separate video. But yeah, I think this car was a good purchase. I think if you're debating on buying a Tesla Model Y versus, let's say, a Mercedes GLC or whatever other SUV, a Honda or a Toyota SUV, I think it's worth giving a second look. I think aside from, you know, having a pretty oddball CEO, Elon Musk, I think the brand itself is a really stable brand. I think it's a very sturdy car as well. That's aside from all the news that we've been hearing about EVs going to shit lately. All right, guys. Well, I definitely hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this was just a quick review of what the Tesla Model Y performance is and what I think it is. Definitely let me know in the comments if you guys want to know more about this car and if you guys want to know exact things about this car, like the autopilot features and the software features and all that good stuff, as well as the charging situation and, you know, some of the things that I've seen as far as charging goes that could definitely make or break your decision upon getting a Tesla Model Y or an electric car for that matter. I definitely hope I was a little bit thorough on this video. This is a new car for me, so I'm sure there's a lot of things that I will talk about and there's a lot of things that I will learn about it. But I definitely hope that this video kind of gave you guys an idea of what it is to have a Tesla Model Y and some of the reasons why you could get one and you should get one, and some of the reasons that could make you wonder why you should stay away and steer away from electrics. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys are interested in watching my other videos, feel free to stay connected. If not, let me know down in the comments if you guys want something else as far as videos, and I'll be more than happy to assist. I do have a video coming up later on about this little beauty right there in the corner, so I'll have that posted soon as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.